You are a cultural pioneer, or as I'd like to say, a cultureneer. You're daring to go where others aren't willing to go. The unknown doesn't scare you, it intrigues you. You're not satisfied with the status quo. Business as usual is not in your DNA. You're done with doing the same thing and expecting a different result. You're an explorer at heart and a trendsetter by nature. You were born with purpose, called to lead, destined to make a difference. You are a Cultureneer. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Culture-neer podcast. I'm your host, Terry Gwaltney. Super excited today. Our guest is a businessman, an entrepreneur, leader in his own space, cowboy, I guess we could throw in there, as well as a hunter. We're really honored. This guest really embodies heritage, vision, and purpose. Victor Bretting is the owner of the Bretting Texan Ranch. It's a family-run hunting ranch in West Texas, and it's about a whole lot more than just hunting. We'll get into that a little bit. It's also about preserving heritage, cultivating culture, and really leaving a legacy for generations to come. So, Victor, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you, Terry. Appreciate you having me on.
Well, we're excited about the audience hearing about the ranch and the big game hunts and your business culture, but let's start with the audience getting to know Victor and his journey prior to owning a premier hunting lodge. What'd that look like?
Well, it started out, I kind of have to give you the story of my mom. So I had a scholarship in college and hurt my neck in football. So didn't really like school. So I had like a 1.6 or something when I came out of my freshman year. So trying to figure out what I want to do. So right, you sat on the couch and my dad passed away when I was 16, so my mom's raising two of my younger siblings that we're 8 and 10 years apart, and I'm watching my mom wheel my luggage down the hall. Oh, okay, go back watching TV. She comes back, says, "Where's your keys?" So I handed her her keys. She comes back, she's like, "Can you meet me outside?" So came outside, she handed me the keys, handed me $20. I said, "What's this for?" She goes, I have to raise two of your brothers and sisters by myself. You're not going to sit on my couch, basically, and do anything. Tell me where you land. So I ended up at welcome
Tough
to
love.
well, hey, it worked. So you end up on a nuclear power plant with Brown and Root was there in Bay City, and by the sixth day, I was pretty well down to water and bread and cheese. And I remember the office manager or the hiring manager came out and said, "Son, you can't stay here." And I said, "Sir, I don't have a choice." I said, "I don't have any gas." I said, "I'm down to bread, cheese, and water." And I said, "You're going to have to hire me." So that Monday, he hired me, and therefore 48 years of construction started.
Wow. Wow. Well, I didn't expect that story, but that's awesome. I think for most people, especially in the society we live in, that would be the prime opportunity to have an excuse on why you didn't make anything out of your life, and you turn that excuse into a reason, and that's pretty powerful. So,
I appreciate it. Back to what I think we're here for. You don't give up, you don't stop, you got to keep going, got to have a little determination, a little drive, and you got to believe in what's ahead of you.
yeah, I know. Just doing a little bit of research, you were introduced to hunting at 13 by your uncle. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
So that became a little bit more than a pastime. It really became a passion that really shaped your outlook on life, didn't it?
It did. It did. The being in God's creations is just a wonderful thing. And being a part of looking up at the sky and seeing the heavens, and the challenge. I've always liked to challenge. Well, hunting's part of a challenge.
Yeah. You looking back, is there any specific moments or values from those early years that you think that helped inspire you to eventually launch the Bretting Ranch?
I think just back to that determination and desire. I've always been a believer. There's nothing I can't do. I just have to put 100% of my efforts into it. And just the love of the outdoors, became part of it, and team sports kind of taught you the don't give up, try, be part of a team. You have to do your part. Your part is to not let anybody else down. So I think all of that combined gives you some drive, and then what's instilled from my parents, from when I was born.
Yeah. As you built the ranch, what was the why behind it? I mean, was it simply just about the outdoors, or creating a place that represents deeper values? I mean, give us an idea of what drove that. Simon Sinek wrote a great book, Why,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and
No, great book. Well, I would love to take credit that I had all this insight about what was fixing to happen in my life, but it was really more of kind of getting out of the city. Lived in Houston for 2 decades and DFW market for 25, and my wife and I are getting up to retirement age. And quite honestly, my idea wouldn't have sit up every night and look at the skyscrapers and all the lights. Can't see the stars. So it was okay. Well, we like to hunt. Can we find a place that's outside that we can bring this heritage on with our family, which our family's all hunters, be able to have kind of being able to have a place to go. And it just transformed. I was led in a direction basically that says this is not about you, this is about a journey, this is about what you can do to help other people. And therefore Bretting Texan Ranch became something bigger than what I really thought it was ever going to be.
that's awesome. Love to unpack that just a little bit. So if our listeners today were thinking about coming and they wanted to experience a premier hunting lodge, and they were going to come to the Bretting Texan Ranch, give us an idea what they would experience if they visited.
Yes, sir. So the first thing is we're family run. So you get to sit down and break bread with me and my family and my 90-year-old mother-in-law that has to bless basically all the animals that's harvested that come through. And so you're getting in an environment that one is conducive for kids. It's conducive for faith. It's conducive basically for just sitting out by the fireplace and let's talk about the accomplishments or the unaccomplishments that we didn't do for the day. My wife's a 35-year culinary teacher. You're going to experience some great food and all kind of different ways. As I have to laugh at my wife, how'd you do that? Well, I don't know, a pinch of this and a pinch of that. So don't ever ask her for a recipe because she can't tell you. But from there, it's meeting your expectation, right? Hunting, as I've learned through the years, is not the 1 second you pull the trigger. Your memories are made before that shot, and your memories are made after that shot. Every trophy that's on my wall has a memory. It has a story. It has some good, some bad that kind of went along with it, but it's a memory. So we're going to create a memory for you in a family atmosphere full of faith with great food.
That sounds like a great weekend. So how many of those stories are hanging on your wall? I'm
About
curious.
141 right now.
And the 141 represent how many states or countries?
It's 13 times to the African continent, to Australia, New Zealand, 4 times in Europe, Argentina, United States, Alaska, 6 continents, and 141 different species of animals.
You're living the life that most men only dream about. And you married a cook. I mean, you got something going on.
Hey, and she's also my huntress, so I've got a partner to go hunting with. Can't beat
Oh,
it.
I just know from a previous conversation she was also a cheerleader. So it sounds like you just got the full package deal.
Hey, you know what? God had a plan, and I got lucky.
Doesn't mean like you married up like the rest of us. So that's
Yes,
awesome.
yes, sir. I've always said, man, you got to have better. So I sold her a line of goods, and she took the hook and the sinker. Okay.
That's awesome. Well, listen, this podcast has a lot to do about culture. How leaders build it, how they sustain it, how they pass it on, and culture sometimes it's almost invisible until you lose it, and then it becomes really obvious something's missing. How would you define the culture at the Bretting Texan Ranch?
I think it's pretty simple about one, respect. I'm definitely, respect that person comes in and, what their goal is. And it's my job basically to, help ensure that that happens. And your culture is we are a family, right? And we're a family of faith. So that is the biggest thing we've got is we have a mission. Our mission is to give you value for what you're doing, to be able to come in and have a family environment that if you want to bring your kids, or your granddaughter or your grandson or whoever it is, you're more than welcome. We encourage it. In that part of having an atmosphere in there where you can enjoy yourself and not feel like it's just a bunch of stress. So
Mm.
our culture is a true family based. How can I make sure that you enjoy what you have paid to come do on our ranch?
If you broke that down just like real practically on a day to day for your team and your family, and even the guests that come to your ranch, what would that look like?
The very first one is I'm not a perfectionist, right? I'm I'm probably a 95, 98% guy. I won't spend another 3 hours to make it perfect because there's other things I need to go on to. So I'm saying about a 95% guy, but we're going to meet the expectations of our clients. So they are all the guides and everybody are told, not told, led into understanding what our expectations of as our clients hit this ranch and how they're treated and how you treat them with respect when they're in the field and they miss 5 times and you want to frustrate and grab them by the throat and go, hey, can you shoot? So, you have to have the patience that goes along with that. You have to have the respect that goes to it, and you have to meet an expectation because, the part of business, as you well know, that old saying of the customer is always right, still has to ring. I mean, you want a return customer, right? You're not going to make money or build wealth by having one customer one time. So us trying to build that relationship with that customer, he's going, man, this is just the best thing since sliced bread. We can't wait to come back. That's the philosophy we want to give our guides and everybody that's associated with the ranch.
Hmm. Yeah, the importance of a first impression and then the lasting impression.
Yes, sir.
I know a lot of entrepreneurs, they struggle to balance profit with people, business, and with values. And it seems like it's very easy to get sidetracked and make it all about profit. Or if you're not careful, you simply make it all about just people and you don't pay any attention to the business side of it. And either one, is a fast race to the bottom. What advice would you give to a business leader trying to build a culture that lasts longer than, let's say, just a quarterly report?
Yeah, one is you have to genuinely care. People are smart. Don't think they're dumb. Don't think that you're pulling wool over their eyes when you trick them into doing something that you wanted them to do because you wasn't honest enough to tell them the truth. So honesty is a huge part. I've never had anybody get mad at me by being honest. And truth doesn't have to hurt. You don't have to put a dagger in them when you're talking about something that maybe they're doing wrong. So the culture that you bring in has to be you leading from the front. You're trying to be honest about everything that's going on within your business. And if you do that most well, and then let me take that third one and that third step, which is an important step, which is you have to give somebody an opportunity for growth, right? I mean, everybody's looking to climb the ladder. Now, don't get me wrong. Today, everybody wants to be a CEO tomorrow. There's still a path you have to go, but it's our responsibility to give them the path, to teach them how to get there, then hold them accountable so they know what your expectations are as you go.
Yeah, yeah, it's very good. In your opinion, what's the danger for a business neglecting their culture? And that can be, that could be in your family, that could be in business, or even in a church or nonprofit organization for that matter. Culture's everywhere.
Well, and I think that has to be the root of your core values is what you believe in. If I'm sorry, but if you believe in being a cheat and stealing people's money at some point in time, it's going to catch up to you. How's it going to catch up to you? Number one, somebody's going to snitch on you because they're not part of your core group and they don't believe who you are. And the second part of that is, you can't get away with being that way all your life. People follow people because you've given them a chance for advancement. You're paying them a decent wage and you're treating them fair, right? Money always drops to number five, while other things are always important. You miss the first four, money jumps to five, and then they're jumping ship just because of a dime.
Yeah, so true. Got to be united around more than a paycheck. It needs to be about purpose. I know, but just talking to you, your vision has always been bigger than just the ranch itself. You said it's about leaving a legacy for your kids, your grandkids, and beyond. I'd like you to talk to the audience about how has family and faith shaped the way you run your ranch.
Well, that's back to kind of we started, Terry, that conversation about honesty and integrity. Faith is about honesty and integrity, so it has to start there. Part of that legacy for me is the ability to give back. The ranch has had the ability, because of the people coming and spending money on our ranch, for us to be able to have 49 donated hunts over the past 3 years. So that legacy, I hope, lives on with my family, that they understand that you weren't put on this earth just to take. That's what I always say. You're not put on this earth to take. You're put on this earth to give and to help. So I hope this legacy continues on, that they understand that this ranch wasn't built on what we make. It was built upon what we can give back.
That is so good. I think for all of us that are listening today, I mean, you're an aspiring leader, you're an entrepreneur, maybe you're a CEO in a C-level suite, wherever you're at, what Victor just said is so important, because you need to realize, you're blessed to be a blessing. There's a reason why you're here on the earth, and all the stuff you're working for that we're all accumulating, you didn't bring any of that with you when you came into the earth, and you're not taking any of it with you when you leave. And so the question is what am I supposed to do with it while I'm here? Because the guy that dies with the most toys, I can promise you, doesn't win. There's nobody on a deathbed saying, just show me my checking account balance one more time. Just, how are my stocks doing today? They're gathering around people that represent memories, and they're in that moment, they want to spend their remaining moments talking or with the things that mean the most to them. And I want to challenge you today. Money's a tool. It relieves a lot of stress and anxiety if you manage it right. And I would sure rather have money than not have it. But it creates opportunity. And those opportunities aren't just for you. I'd encourage you to look around, find a need, and figure out a way to meet it. Find a hurt, figure out a way to help heal it. You'll get more fulfillment and satisfaction out of that than 10xing your bottom line next year. It's just the truth. So running a 1,600-acre operation, I know it can't be a small feat. So what are some of the leadership and business lessons that you've learned in the field that you think entrepreneurs or young leaders maybe can apply in their own business? They're not running a ranch, but the principles remain the same. You're running a business, you're dealing with people, you have customers. Share some of that hard-bought wisdom that you've learned, that I'm sure you have scars to bear because of it.
Yeah.
Give us the cheat code.
Yeah. Well, the cheat code is barbed wire still cuts your arm. So yeah, there's a couple of scars still left. There's nothing that takes a place of hard work. You can't start a business or be successful in anything you do in your life without hard work. Would be number one. Second, that ladder looks like it's a long way to climb, but you have to take it one rung at a time. The thing that I try to teach all of the people that have trained underneath myself is that if you miss a rung, there's a possibility when you get up that's going to cost you, and then you're going to go back to the bottom, which means you get to start all over again. And by the way, it's probably your money. Probably not going to be a way you want to go. So you have to have the discipline. You have to take a step forward, and I think you have to have a good plan. Now, don't get me wrong. It's being in construction most of my life. When I started out with Plan A, it was probably triple Z or worse by the time we got to the job. But there's that flexibility of, if I have a plan when I first started out, then I can change the plan as I go and not have much problem, right? The favorite saying I would tell a lot of my group is, you and I can get to California. It's not a problem. I have a roadmap, probably going to be there quicker than you do. I'm probably going to spend a lot less gas. So if you have a plan, you can adapt to the plan. If I'm going down that road and somebody threw up a detour sign, I still have a map to get around to where I want to go. So to me, that importance of having a roadmap, I think, is also true to the success as well.
Yeah, for sure. Every business leader, you're going to face seasons. Some of those seasons are going to be up. Some of those seasons are going to be down. What has running a ranch taught you about patience and timing and adapting to the different seasons of business?
Well, it started off as a pretty hard lesson. We brought 18 axes on the property 2 days before the Snowmageddon hit Texas, and you look at oh yeah, it is a great story. So you're looking at the weather and it says, oh, 2 days below 20, no snow. Okay, no big deal. Well, then you end up with every day below 20. Then you end up with snow. So now you end up with, this ice crammed on their back. And I lost 18 axes, first rattle
Hmm.
right out of the bat, So, you cry about it for a little bit, but it's got to be a very short period of time because you got to figure out what you got to do. So, lesson became really quick to Victor is, I've hunted and I've harvested a bunch of animals. So I know how to harvest an animal. Victor didn't know how to raise an animal, how to keep them alive. So them lessons sometimes come hard in life, and you can pout, you can lay down, but you can do the old cowboy you'd mentioned before, which is cowboy up. That's dust your pants off, big boy, and get back on that horse. So that's what you do. And then I started understanding the seasons. They always said an animal will let you know when you're hungry, but you have to pay attention. You've got to be out there with them. So you learn these seasons and these lessons on how to take care of these animals, and them have that little bit of sign of maybe they're in distress or maybe they need something that you need to help them with. So it was a big learning lesson, definitely on the seasons and how to take care of what you never knew how to do.
Mm. I bet you have stories.
There's a couple.
So listen, I know you partner with groups like the Cross Trail Outfitters, and showing youth that hunting isn't just about harvesting animals. It really is about discipline and responsibility and respect. How has that partnership extended your impact beyond business into mentorship and culture building, or whatever else it's got you into?
Well, it kind of honestly strengthens your faith when you see a young man give his life to Christ right in front of you, and we talked about sometimes that, it's great, you tithe in church, or you give to this charity, but when you're sitting there right in front of you and you get to experience what you're trying to show somebody of why you are who you are as a man, that's worth 1,000 words, which has bled into my family for bringing our faith honestly stronger and more of a commitment. I've got a special thing going on with CTO right now. It's a 1 in 100,000. But some of the people that I'm talking to about CTO and dealing with them, they're fixing to donate a doe that has more testosterone than he does estrogen, and she's got horns. That's a 1 in 100,000 that we're going to donate to CTO for their banquet for their auction.
Mm, that's awesome. So there has to be tons of these stories about transformation. Is there a favorite one that comes up where like someone left the ranch different than when they arrived because of the experience and the culture you built there?
Yeah, we had a huntress, and she really wasn't even a huntress. She just really was a girlfriend before she became a wife to one of the hunters that came to the ranch with us a bunch of times. And she came out and again gave her the family atmosphere, had patience, and she harvested her animal. And then you look on Facebook and you see this beautiful picture of her sunset, and then just the talk about how she understood what conservation really was, what God's creation really had, was to her. And you watch this transformation happen right before your eyes, and all you were doing honestly was supplying her with a hunt. But because of hopefully what we taught her and what she saw and her husband, it just kind of transformed her life into what really hunting was.
Mm. So if our listeners were coming to the Bretting Texan Ranch, we've talked about hunting these animals and this experience. What are they going to find there? They're just going to find jackrabbits and squirrels. I mean, what are we hunting?
Well, we get a little bigger than that, and we're little not far enough from West Texas to get you a jackrabbit. We got some cottontails, but I would think my wife and my mother-in-law would probably shoot you if you shot one. But hey, so first is family. We are family run. Sons are involved. My brother-in-law, sister-in-law, my wife, my mother-in-law. We're all part of this. Second thing is expectations. I want to know your expectation. It's my responsibility to try to make sure that, we help you with your expectations. Third part of that is it's not about that 1 second you pull the trigger. We want to make the memories before and after you pull that tree, sitting by the fire, looking at the heavens, talking about what happened for the day, good and bad, and then just seeing what the creation is out there that you get to enjoy. So it's not about the hunt to us; it's the experience. We want to give you an experience with that opportunity to be able to harvest that animal of a lifetime that you want.
Hmm. And what are some of the animals that you have there for people to choose from?
So
Different
we've got
experiences.
whitetail, axis, fallow, nilgai, aoudad, about 7 different species of sheep. We bring elk in, and then we're in the process right now purchasing a big stag herd to bring to the property.
Wow. So a little bit of something for everybody.
Yes, sir.
What do you think? What's the age ranges that have experienced your ranch thus far, youngest and to the oldest?
So we've actually, the hunting wise, the youngest is a 4-year-old that just harvested his ram with his dad and his brother.
Hmm.
Here about 3 weeks ago. But we've actually had husband and wives come, with newborns that are here, and they'll sit back while the husband goes out and hunt, or they can hang around with my wife and listen to the stories about husbands. Then we come in and they don't say much, but that's okay too. So it's about, again, just this getaway, to be able just to enjoy and have a little peace and quiet.
Hmm. I'm going to give you some rapid fire questions here if you're up for it.
Yes, sir.
What's the single most important value in your culture there at the ranch?
I'd say family. The family that we have, that we share, and then the next part is that respect. The respect of the animal as well as the respect of the person that's coming out. To have the hunts with us.
Hmm. One principle from nature that you think every leader should learn?
I think perseverance. If you really watch what happens to an animal, they it's not exactly easy. They don't come home every day and have a roof over their head. They get to figure out how to avoid an element, right? How to find their food, how to find the water, and how to exist. I think perseverance in what wildlife does is an important lesson.
Hmm. I know you're a person of faith. Is there a verse or a truth that really grounds your leadership?
I think do unto others. You know, my favorite saying is, I'm going to give you an olive branch. I'm going to give you that respect. I'm going to give you the first part. Now, I got to be honest. If that olive branch comes out and the flower's gone and there's no leaves and it's probably thorns, probably not going to be as nice of a conversation. But I'm always going to try to extend that olive branch out.
It's good. Biggest mistake you think leaders make when they're trying to build culture?
They're not leaders. They're tellers. They're not doers. I want you to, you need to remember, you do as I say and say as I do. It's your responsibility to be up front and to lead. So if you're going to set the pace and the tone of your group, then you need to be up front doing it. Don't be back and behind and criticize what they're doing when you haven't done it.
Hmm. What legacy you hope for the ranch to leave 20 years from now?
Hope the kids will continue the process of giving back and the
Hmm.
heritage of hunting. We need to understand that hunters are the best conservationists in the world. It's not about feelings, it's about facts, it's about science. Them to be able to carry that going forward in this world, to let people understand what true conservation is.
Yeah, it's good. How does Victor want to be remembered when your time on Earth is over?
You know, man of faith would be one, of course, most important. Probably from there is, if I say I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. Toes and tongues. That's, if your mouth is wagging, your toes better be following. I still don't do anything on the ranch that I'm not out there basically with the guys, helping them do it. I'm not much on, not leading from the front.
Hmm. Tell our audience where they can find you, where they can come and kind of share in this experience.
I appreciate it, Terry. You can see our website at brettingtexanranch.com, and on a Facebook page, if you just want to search for B-Tex Ranch or Bretting Texan Ranch, either one would bring up our Facebook page.
Hmm. Listen, Victor, I really appreciate you sharing your story. The insights. I can tell you're passionate about what you do, and anytime we're passionate about something, it takes something that was a job and just makes it a real joy. And so I can only imagine the kind of experience that your customers are really having. You know, we say this a lot, but it is so true. You know, the customer experience will never be greater than the employee experience, which is why culture is so important. You have a team, if you're listening today, and you're interested in what's going on in their personal life, they're going to be much more interested in what's going on in their professional life, which obviously impacts you. You treat them and value them, they're going to treat and value their customers accordingly. If you treat them like a number, then they're simply going to have a job, and you will not have very many repeat customers when they're having to deal with employees that only have a job. There has to be something more than that, and great culture connects people with purpose, and it causes them to do a job at a whole nother level, which gives you a competitive advantage. I appreciate you just sharing today. It's been a real joy to get to know you, and I really encourage that our listeners today, if you're not a hunter, this is a place where they will come and actually hold your hand and kind of walk you through how to do it the right way, and have an experience that's going to create a memory that you can in turn pass on to your family and create a whole new heritage. So, any parting words for us today, Victor?
No, I appreciate the opportunity. I appreciate your insights on culture, because it's not just about the cash in the bank it took to open the business. It's about being able to succeed with the people and the culture you have. So I appreciate you sharing that, Terry.
Yeah. Guys, all you listen to, your business, your leadership, your family, they all have a culture. And it's either a result of what you've intentionally created or what you've allowed. So if you want your culture to be better, you need to personally be responsible in doing something about it. Because remember, culture is only healthy as the leader. We'll see you next time on the Culture-neer podcast.
Thank you for joining us on Culture-neer, where every episode is a step forward on your leadership journey. We hope today's conversation sparked new insights and added real value to your life, empowering you to lead with greater strength and purpose. If you enjoyed what you heard, please connect with us. Follow our Facebook and Instagram pages, subscribe to our YouTube channel for exclusive content, and give us a rating on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Your support helps us grow our community and continue delivering conversations that matter. Thanks again for listening, and until next time, keep striving, keep leading, and keep inspiring.